Join us in an incredible journey through the powerful visions of Isaiah, a man chosen to carry messages of hope, justice, and mercy. Isaiah's world is filled with suspense as he faces intense conflict and watches the rise and fall of nations, revealing deep truths that speak to us today. Through visions of judgment and promises of peace, Isaiah's heart is stirred by his love for the people and his trust in a greater purpose. Prepare for an emotional adventure that inspires hope and calls for courage in times of hardship, illuminating God's enduring promise of redemption. Isaiah looked out over the city, his heart heavy. He saw the people turning away from kindness and truth, following their own ways, and ignoring the cries of the poor and needy. This troubled Isaiah deeply, for he knew that ignoring such cries brought sadness to God's heart. Isaiah felt a mix of worry and a burning need to share what he saw and felt. He knew that the people needed to be warned, but he also hoped they would change their ways. He longed for them to find kindness again, to love one another as he knew they were meant to. He could see what others could not, visions sent by God, showing him the path the people were on. In one vision, he saw the city in ruins, the strong walls torn down, and the people wandering aimlessly. He saw those who were once powerful brought low, their faces filled with shame. This vision filled Isaiah with urgency. He felt as if he were carrying a fire inside him, one that burned with both sorrow and love. He had to speak, to warn them that their choices had consequences. Yet, he also carried a message of hope, a small spark of light that would shine through even the darkest of times. The next day, Isaiah walked through the marketplace, watching the people laugh and carry on as if nothing could go wrong. They had become proud, some even thinking they were more important than others. They cared more about wealth and power than helping those who had little. Isaiah's heart hurt for them, for he knew that this path would only bring pain. He wanted to call out, to tell them of the vision he had seen. But he held back, waiting for the right moment, hoping his words would reach their hearts. Isaiah's spirit trembled when he received another vision. This time, he saw God seated on a high and glorious throne, his robe filling the entire temple. Around him were heavenly beings with wings, covering their faces in awe and singing, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord Almighty. The whole earth is filled with his glory." The sound was so powerful that the doorposts shook and smoke filled the room. Isaiah was overwhelmed by the holiness of God and felt his own unworthiness deeply. He whispered, "I am a man of unclean lips, and I live among a people of unclean lips." In that moment, he felt his own faults but also a deep desire to be close to God, to serve him with a pure heart. Then, one of the heavenly beings flew to Isaiah with a live coal in his hand, touching Isaiah's lips with it. "See, this has touched your lips. Your guilt is taken away, and your sin atoned for," said the heavenly being. Isaiah felt a rush of relief and joy, his heart lighter than it had been in a long time. When he heard God ask, "Whom shall I send? And who will go for us?" Isaiah didn't hesitate. He cried out, "Here am I, send me." From that moment, Isaiah knew he had a purpose. He would speak for God, no matter the cost, no matter who listened. His heart was set. Isaiah began his journey, speaking to the people, sharing his visions. He told them of the dangers of pride and injustice, of how their choices could lead to ruin. Some listened, their faces thoughtful, but others laughed and ignored his words. This hurt Isaiah, but he remembered his vision of God's glory and the mission he had been given. He knew he had to keep going, to keep speaking, even if only a few would hear him. His faith was unshakable, and he trusted that his message would find its way to those who needed it most. As Isaiah's warnings continued, he faced strong opposition. Some leaders didn't want to hear his words, for they were proud and set in their ways. They did not want to be reminded of kindness or justice. They only cared about their own power. But Isaiah stood firm, his voice unwavering. Even as others tried to silence him, his heart remained strong, filled with courage from his vision. He spoke with a power that could only come from his trust in God's purpose, knowing that he was doing what was right. In his next vision, Isaiah saw a future of peace and harmony, a time when people would beat their swords into plows, turning weapons of war into tools of growth. Nations would come together, and there would be no more war. This vision gave Isaiah hope, a bright light that cut through all the darkness he had seen. He shared this vision with the people, hoping they too would long for such a future and turn from their ways. It was a promise, a glimpse of the world as it could be if only they would listen and change. Isaiah's journey continued, filled with both heartbreak and hope. He saw the people struggle, some turning away from their selfish ways, others holding tight to their pride. But Isaiah never stopped. His heart was set on his mission. He knew he had been chosen to bring this message, and he trusted in the strength God had given him. Each day, he prayed for his people, for their hearts to soften, for their eyes to open to the love and mercy that awaited them if only they would turn back. Finally, as Isaiah grew older, he looked back on all he had done. He had faced challenges, but he had also seen hearts change, if only a few. He had watched as some began to care more for each other, to turn away from pride and toward kindness. Isaiah's heart was at peace, knowing he had done what he was called to do. He knew that even if he had only reached a few, those few could inspire others. His journey was one of faith, and he trusted that the seeds he had planted would grow, bringing hope and light to future generations. Prayer. Dear God, thank you for the courage and faith of Isaiah, who shared your truth even when it was hard. Help us to listen to your voice and to walk in kindness and humility. Give us the strength to be messengers of your love, just as Isaiah was. Open our hearts to your wisdom and guide us on a path of peace. Let our lives reflect your glory, and may we be a light to others. Amen.